Brandon, Spivey reminded me when he talked about going in to set up, reminded me of the early days of conferences.
Oh man, those are some good times.
Do you remember? I remember, we were talking about this the other day on a call, like going into our first actual national conference. I guess it would have been in 2010, right? Because we started October 9th of 2009, which I know that date very well because that was me and Sarah's anniversary date.
That's right.
That's all she wanted for anniversary that year was to resign from the company we were working for and start a new company. But man, there was like 60, 80 people in that room,
Yeah.
We had it set up for probably 2 or 250 because that's how many we thought were coming. And that got in my head for sure, man.
Really messed with you a little bit.
It did. Yeah. I had my hopes set extremely high, and it's just not a fun spot when you go into a room and you got the room set up for 250 and only 60, 80 people show up. But that was our first national conference.
It was. And do you remember one of the worst parts about that venue was that right outside the conference room, they were having some toilet problems in the bathroom. And so it all smelled like urine.
Yeah.
And this was a nice Marriott. I mean, not a great Marriott, but it was a 4-star nice Marriott. And
it was a hard 3.
It was. It was a hard 3. Should have been.
But it definitely added insult to injury,
Yeah.
But man, it's just cool to hear how well these altitude conferences are going, and people showing up to rooms full of 250, 300, 1,000, 1,200, and that's just an altitude event. That's not our actual conferences now. So it's really, really cool to see that.
Well, what's really cool also to see is that we've almost sold out, or maybe we have sold out conference in February based on early ticket sales.
Yep.
Not all of those people will show up. That's generally how it works, and there will be overflow seating. So there'll be room for many more. So it will really be about who kind of claims their tickets early at the gates, right?
Yeah. I think the way we're going to do that is because they're owners pack. So technically we're over 5,000, which is how many the Belco Theater holds, but we'll only actually count people whose names are on the seats or on the tickets out of your owner's pack. So there's, make sure you're actually filling those spots in your owner's packs with actual names of attendees. And then, I would keep the overflow thing. We're not sure how that's going to work yet, but, for you guys, as you're promoting, this is going to be a sellout event. If down the road, we want to try to figure out how to open up to overflow, we can do that. We just don't want people sandbagging and saying, well, I'll just sign up later. So let's use the fact that we are going to sell out the main theater at this conference venue, I think pretty quickly. So it's gonna be fun.
Yep. It is.
Let's see what we got here.
You know what today is, don't you? It's Wednesday, September 8th, I think. It's the beginning of the most profitable time of the year,
right,
to be an insurance agent. And we should say not really September the 8th. That would probably be, it usually begins the Monday, Tuesday, or the weekend before Labor Day. But if you look at our charts going all the way back to that, urine stinking 60-person conference that we had back in 2010, this time of year, here's what begins to happen.
Yep.
Why is that, you think?
Kids are back in school. So, the summer vacations are over.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are recharged and ready to get back to it. I think those are probably the bigger components. And I also just think we've always been good as a company about focusing on making this a massive quarter.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at everything we have on the table right now with the slingshot bonus and the extra leads in the pipe and, the new products we've rolled out and just the kind of focus on where we're going as a company, man, this September could be one for the record books. I have a feeling it will be.
It needs to be. And so that's really what we wanted to talk about today. And I can kind of interview you. We can interview each other. And if
Yeah.
there's some specific Q&A down here in the chat, you can throw it at us. Not promising that we'll answer it, but
Yeah, guys.
but if you've got some questions on how do I make this the best month, maybe a record-breaking month that I've ever had, because keep in mind, I think, let me look at my calendar here. I think we're going into
Next month's 5-week.
5-weeker. That's what I was going to say. Next month is a 5-week turn-in.
Yep.
So how do I make this an all-time record 4 weeks so that I'm kind of ramping up production so that I can capitalize on October with, just record-breaking across the board production? And if you really wanted to make it as simple as possible, here's what I would tell you. Get more leads so that you have more activity, so that you can see more people, so that you can sell more policies, place more business, make more money than you ever have. It all starts with that. But what kind of conversations are you having? We're talking to the leaders, Casey. What kind of conversations should they be having? It's not just about production, because we're talking to leaders. It's also about recruiting. So how do we, what kind of conversations would you be having, I guess, with your teams? And I think this one even has more of a chance to be record breaking because of the timing of the altitudes. We've had probably 5 or 6 that have already wrapped up. We got 2 more, I think, starting today. And then I think that's it.
Yep.
Right. So
absolutely. I mean, I think
wise, it's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I'm hearing and you're hearing, I'm sure, from the leaders is that this is what we always tried to do was, especially it kind of starts with intentionality, being a leader that understands kind of how to rally the troops. And a lot of that can be through goal setting, team goal setting, and then individual goal setting, getting people in your huddle ups. And if you haven't done this yet, it's not too late. I know we're a week into September, but thinking about the quarter, thinking about the next few months, have you pulled your team together? Does everyone know what their goal is individually from a personal production and recruiting standpoint? And then what the collective team goal is? Because a lot of people underestimate how hard people actually fight for the team goal too. A lot of people think it's just, I just need to get, Brett and Leslie and Steve to give me their individual goals. Brett, what are you going to do in September? Leslie, go around the horn like that. That's valuable, extremely valuable. And if you're not doing that, you need to. And then help them back. If they have a goal of X amount, help them back into that goal with the actual metrics of the business, which is just going to be generally leads under management. How many leads are they getting? How many appointments are they setting is another massive one. And then if you're building an agency, what do the recruiting activities look like to hit that target? How many interviews do you need to be stacking in a week? But just getting the basic metrics involved in your goal setting and accountability process and kicking that off the right way is massive. You got to know what you're trying to drive for as a team, and everyone on the team needs to know what part they play in getting there with the team. So, right, Brandon, we used to huddle up with the team and kind of get everyone to stick their neck out a little bit. We'd write it on a whiteboard or whatever you can do to kind of get some accountability in the air. And then, like I said, it's the main metrics would be leads under management, appointment count, recruiting numbers, and then promotion. Are people actually plugging in along the way? Are you promoting things like the slings? Are you promoting things that are on the table that you should really be leveraging? That are you doing that? It's amazing sometimes how people, they don't promote things like the slingshot bonus or a company trip or a company contest. It's like, man, that's free for me as a leader. That's free. And that's passive motivation. All I have to do is be a traffic cop and make sure that everyone on my team knows what the slingshot is, or everyone on my team, knows which event they're going to, or everyone on my team knows what contest we're running. So I think just some intentionality around promotion, but man, I'm focused on getting as many leads out there under management on my team as I can, and then how many appointments we can set. because you're right, Brandon. This is, not only is this the best time of the year, this is the best time in 12 years as a company from an opportunity standpoint that we've ever had.
Yep.
So I know everyone's out there rallying and running, and I just, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun few months.
Yep. I wouldn't say slow down and have conversations. I would say just make sure you have conversations, and they need to look exactly like what you're talking about. But and it all kind of goes back to knowing your numbers as an agency owner, as a direct. How many leads am I generally managing? How many leads do I have under my agency's management?
Yep.
And how many dials are we generally making to get the results that we're already getting? And then how do I go up from there? So 2,400-ish leads have already gone out on the DigiX platform. They're scaling every day. I want to say Joe just said yesterday, did he say about 900 leads went out?
I think so. Yep.
I think so. Some people are like, well, I haven't gotten mine yet.
Hang tight.
Working on that. We should have been a little clearer on that last week. We don't have a way yet to allocate those as they're coming in live over the weekend. So we don't even have it turned on yet. We're working on it, but that's some tech that we're having to build so that people can order those real time and get them real time. The last thing we want you to do is order digital leads and they sit for, 2 or 3 days. So yesterday it got cranked back up. Today it's going to continue to kind of flow. That's going to help. Keep an eye on the A1 leads and the A2 leads, because those are about to pop as well.
Yeah. You want to talk about why?
Yeah, we've
kind of mentioned that last week, but
I think we might haven't. We may not have. We are always on the lookout for partnerships that we either have and can improve, or we don't have yet and can make them on other lead vendors out there. So this was one that we've been working with for, 7 or 8 years, that just so happened that the timing is right to ask that question.
Yep.
So it's important when you're working and when your agents are working A1 leads, that they understand that just because somebody's already gotten it taken care of doesn't mean that we can't do better. We don't replace our own business. Okay. We don't do that. We can figure out, though, pretty simply as an agent, if it was one of my family members that wrote that policy or somebody else out there, and assuming I can do better for the client, meaning a lot more coverage for the same price or whatever the case may be, then you got to make sure that the replacement fits into the replacement categories. But I would say that there should be a lot of opportunity out there for that. Never have somebody cancel a policy before a new policy is issued. I know everybody's like, we know that. Somebody didn't know that. We just told them that. So make sure that you're telling them that too. But all that to say, I think we're setting up to have a record week, not even counting the DigiX leads. We're set up to have a record week in lead flow, if not this week because of the holiday, then next week. Okay. A lot of opportunity is going to be had for people that are willing to work statewide GMRs. A lot of opportunity is going to be had for agency owners that are kind of jumping on this whole change of the way that we do things. So if I'm an agent, I've struggled getting leads for whatever reason, those days are behind us until they're not again. And that's really the way that leads work, Casey. You've either got not enough, a little bit too many. You have a few too many until you have not enough again. And that's what happens when, as you guys are growing, is we're just trying to scoop up as much market share as we can. The way that we partner with bonus lead companies is a really good way of doing that. So, so that's really the conversations I think that I would be having. I'd love to get Scott Summers' feedback on some of this too, Casey, but just how do I get more people taking more leads? Scott, you have an agent, and that agent is a solid 15,000 net place producer. And they're very happy with their numbers. Maybe I'm not talking to that person. Maybe I've got a $10,000 or $15,000 producer that wants to take on this challenge of, can I take in a month, can I double that? You had moments in your career early on, And I specifically remember you winning a contest, and you went to, you stayed in an igloo. Where were you? It wasn't Denmark.
It was Finland.
Finland.
Yeah, it was
Finland.
November to remember. Yeah.
Yeah, you won a Finland contest. And we always say that the beauty of winning a contest is not really the trip you take, although that trip was probably pretty awesome. It's more about the new standard that you set for yourself, and really the new standard that you can set for your team, right? And so if I can kind of level up by going from $20,000 to $25,000 a month, or $20,000 to $30,000 a month, what that does in the immediate is great. What it does in the long term is greater. So talk about that. And, was that something that you experienced? And then how do you have conversations with your teams in months like this, where you're really wanting everyone to rally and break new records?
Yeah, it's great. I was listening to that segue, and it's perfect because this is going to be a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is delivering like 3 new agents starting today. And we're kind of working our way to February. So it's like perfect. And we're going to kind of be showing, kind of like a chronological coaching timeline. So,
nice.
But I think it was all about really just kind of the ramp up. And then, I think feeling the profitability and then looking at that with new agents. I think a lot of times, we're starting off on bonus leads, and we tell them, hey, these are leads that are in the inventory, they've been worked already, but we don't want to necessarily invest day one in splitting the Symmetry marketing right away, but we want to show that we can build up a pipeline, start with profitability, but then we want to have people kind of watching their GMRs, profitability, PPL, so we're kind of factoring all that in. And then, just kind of looking at that on a monthly basis when the snapshot comes out, just trying to keep that in front of them. Those are the next, looking at it as stepping stones, or, along the way.
Love it.
And did you traditionally, when you were trying to break those records, or, win the November Remember contest, did you ramp up lead flow and therefore activity, or how did you kind of approach that?
Yeah, I think I was, I think I got to a point where I was like and those are where the mentorship moments come in too, because Kevin Purdy was there, and I'm like at 12 to 15. I came off like 7 to 10 A leads I was taking in a week, and then moving, because I was working my way out of a business and then into Symmetry, and then going. I remember him having that discussion with me. It's like, hey, look, your business is profitable. You're converting, you're setting the right amount of appointments, looking at the 4 keys to a successful week. And now we need to ramp this thing up, 10 to 15 A leads a week, and then just looking at the profitability and kind of taking it in stages, step by step.
What is your average investment on a weekly basis, you think, for your top people right now, if you know that?
Yeah, about
what are they investing in leads?
Yeah, about 5. I'd say kind of right around $500. It would be kind of like the average amongst the top producers on the team.
Yeah, it's good. I think we're seeing anywhere, we're seeing 500, 700 for the top producers. We're seeing upwards of 750 to 1,000.
To go out and be able to write $20,000 to $30,000 in premium with a $10,000 or $1,000 investment. I mean, the profit.
The way I felt like when I was in the field, Brandon, you probably felt the same way. It's like I take my $500 and I invest it and I get X return. But if I add 200 to that or 300 to that, I kind of hedge my bets a little bit, and I end up with a little bit of an easier week in some ways, just because I got more appointments set. And that puts me in a position where my close ratios actually got better. But it was like I didn't double my lead investment from going from 500 to 700, but I almost doubled my net profit percentage. Does that make sense? It's like I didn't have to double the investment to double the return. And that's the way I think just kind of inching up in leads can show you, like, wow, my weeks are getting easier. I'm almost falling into 5 to 6, 7 grand a week now. That's the sweet spot. If you should be getting enough leads. And again, I love the way Kevin coached you. It was like your ratios are about right. So now just adding more to it, you're going to be really killing it. We're not
Yeah.
talking to those of you out there who haven't actually, got some of that down yet. And I'm not saying that investing in more leads in that position might not be the thing that you need to do to have a good week or two, because sometimes this thing is just about your mindset and your confidence level, and how you approach these leads. But I always found that when I was investing the right amount in leads, and it was usually $500 to $700 a week, I just fell into $5,000 to $6,000 a week of production easily. It was the times where I was kind of starving my business, and only investing $250, $300 a week in leads, where things just were. It's not like I couldn't get 15 of net placed in a month. It was just a little bit more of a headache to do it. Felt like I had at least a bad week or so in that mix.
I like to use the kind of like a wood analogy when agents are coming in and they've shown that they can sell mortgage protection. I use the 4 keys to coach them, but sometimes you're seeing all the characteristics in the 4 keys on a weekly basis, where if we dump some gasoline on this thing, it's going to start burning even hotter. But sometimes if they're not following like the activity, it's throwing gasoline on wet wood. It's just not gonna get going. So
yeah, great way to think about it. Yeah, it's really good. And then I love what you're talking about too around setting, what a record-breaking month does for you personally. And the money's great. That's awesome. Or if you happen to, win a contest, or a lot of you guys are focusing on Slingshot right now. You're getting promotions, you're getting cash bonuses, all kinds of fun stuff. It doesn't hold a candle to what it actually does for your self-image around this business. Knowing that you are a $15,000 net place month producer, or knowing that you are now a $20,000 or a $25,000 or a $30,000 net place month producer, man, it does so much for your self-image. It does so much for your ability to sell in the home, and it also does so much for your ability to have extra cash flow to help you start to recruit. And that cash flow glow starts to just attract so many people to you if you're trying to build a business. So it's just a win-win all the way around,
It's funny how you see, we were on our 120 run up until April. And, it's funny how you see the folks that just were setting their own personal records for the team. And you can see the people that really believe in community. So when you throw out that team goal, you just see people all of a sudden, it's like, hey, you just did $15,000. Your best was $7,000. And it was just that feeling of community, the feeling of the team goal. It was, and they were outside of themselves and their own personal goals, and they see that they can do it. And we were seeing that happen time and time again.
And man, the other thing that you had that helped you get to where you are is your level of personal production as that example, because didn't you find that, we've always found this to be the case, that generally your new people will kind of cut the volume in half. So Scott, you got someone new on the team and they see Scott, is still in the field and only doing 10,000 a month. They're like, well, if Scott can do 10, I can do 5. And they start to just use their leader as their guidepost to maybe what they should do, which is just a terrible way to approach the business. But it's just the nature, I think, of people looking at their leaders saying, well, if they can't do this, then how am I supposed to be able to do this? So, man, just the volume that comes in from you, Scott, leading the charge with your team like you did for so long, and you have that smoke of battle on you, and you have that discipline in your schedule, it raises the tide, raises all the ships in the harbor for everyone, right? Because everyone raises to that level, or at least close to it,
Yeah, I think I just remember those days. Like that was just one of my goals. And once again, it's just like you don't even know what's possible, and you get into that zone. And I remember before winning the November to Remember, I tried winning the March Madness, and I remember I had my Honda Accord. Kevin was like, "What'd you do? Put the snow plow on the front of your car?" It's like you're out selling. It's like 8 inches of snow here in Virginia, which we don't see too often. And you wrote 20 applications last week, and so it's just when it, and the motivation for me, the trip was great, but it was just that contest. But it just shows what's possible when you really focus on a specific goal. It's that's why I love this business. It's great.
I love it too. It's like we talk so much about contests, but it's really a contest every week if you want it to be,
Mhm.
right? Like if my record is $10,000 in a week and I beat that next week, then Casey, you and I used to play games like that
Yep.
with ourselves all the time early
Yep.
on in personal production or recruiting, but then also just as the agency was growing, it's like we'd set up a little contest for ourselves. And if we hit the numbers, then we'd go do something fun.
Absolutely. And, just having the leaderboards and paying attention to those and saying like, Brandon, you and I never wanted to be out of the top 10 on a weekly basis. We were always striving to be in that. Granted, a little bit different now with our top 10s.
Harder. Glad
Massive top 10, but
yeah.
at least like having that goal of like being, in the top 10, top 20 on a weekly basis with the company from a personal production standpoint is probably one of the best things you can do from a leadership standpoint. And that's who we're talking to right now is the builders and leaders. Like, don't underestimate the value of leading from the front, setting the bar high, and using that cash flow to buy the system versus be the system of recruiting. So many people get in that no man's land where they're at 90, 95% contract level. And I'm a manager now, so I'm going to spend a lot of my week kind of being in the manager seat. Yeah. And personal production starts to dive, cash flow starts to dive. And now I am the recruiting machine versus buying the recruiting machine.
Yeah. I just had I have to say this real quick. Got the funniest comment in the chat when we were just talking about if we would do something, if we would, break a record, if we do something fun. Somebody said, babe, we're going to Shoney's.
That's right. That's good. That's good. I see that. That's hilarious.
Oh, that's
well timed. Well timed.
Those of you that don't know Reggie are missing out on the joke. We got to figure out a way to let all these good folks know that showed up late to the party who Reggie is, man.
Right. We're gonna try to do that maybe at conference.
What if we had a what if we did a call coming up soon with Reggie? Webinar where like you were a special guest. We could have you in not you, I mean Reggie. We could have Reggie in the
not me.
In the agent spotlight as an example. Let's see if anybody in the chat wants, if they like that idea, let us know about it.
Oh gosh.
Also, one question that we were having, Scott, because I look back at all these amazing contests we had, you and your wife got to stay in an igloo while you're looking at like Aurora Borealis or something crazy. You got the Northern Lights or whatever it was. And then I look back at all these contests and I think Jimmy Spildinner found his wife, had a baby. Summer's got to do this.
Yep.
And there's so many stories of so many people that got to accomplish amazing things. And they're all here now. And most of them, or many of them, are way up in contract level, if not at the top contracts. So Casey and I were thinking, man, we really should at least consider, on top of everything else we'll have going on, doing a November to Remember contest. And so feel free in the chat to kind of let us know if we were to have a contest, where would be the coolest place that you could go as a winner? Scott, if you had it to do over again, and let's say that Finland's out of the question, okay? And you could go anywhere in the world around that same budget, what would it be? What would you do? Or maybe it's not a trip. Maybe it's I want to win a motorcycle, or I want to win maybe a new car, like Reggie's Miata.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tell you, the Finland was hard to top. It was just, I was talking to some friends the other day, and I was like, we're stopping. We dropped our grocery bags. We're like, we're looking for our cameras, and the locals were like, what are you doing? He was like, you don't see the huge 8-foot reindeer right there? It's like reindeer and just all the wildlife. Wow. It was amazing. But I don't know, some places in Europe there I'd love to go. I love Spain. Spain was amazing. I mean,
somebody in the chat's just saying Barcelona, Spain. We've done that one. I think UHL is going to an island off the coast of Spain next year. Marbella.
I know, man. We need to get this COVID stuff behind us, right? We got to get back on these company trips.
I know. Damn you, COVID.
No. African safari. That sounds awesome. Peru. Yeah, let's go to Peru, Franco.
Man, alive. Somebody's going to clear all this out.
Island.
I've had several people say, who is Reggie? And then I've heard several people say, or I see several people say, Reggie's in Quilty U. Maybe you should check it out.
Good.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
That's fair. Oh, man. I like Jesse Lee said the winner could win a lunch with Reggie.
Vlad said Croatia.
Vlad the Hammer?
Yep.
I like what I'm hearing there.
I'm seeing a lot of Australia and Ireland. That's cool.
Sounds like we should have a contest, and we should up our budget, is what it sounds like to me.
Exactly.
Maybe we can get one of the carriers to pony up a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right. That's enough in the chat. We got, I could see Kayla and Ariel are probably over there like, like Casey or Spivey was so mad at me last week because I asked them about college football. So they had to go in and like just
I love it.
erase
every week.
I know. It is good to see all the chatter though. Hey, before we go to a video, I wanted to give everybody an update on something that maybe you don't know about, which there are a lot of prayers and positive energy that need to be thrown out towards Johnson City, Tennessee. One half of the Wonder Twins, Mr. Matt Smith, was diagnosed with COVID, I think 2 weeks ago, Casey. He's been in isolation, has not seen his family for over 2 weeks now. I want to say 2.5 weeks. Yep. I've been texting with him a lot. Told him that I would let you guys know today kind of what's going on. If you're the praying type, send prayers. If you're the, just the good wishes type, send good wishes, whatever it is, positivity you can throw up there to Matt and his family. And of course, Brad and his family, everybody knows how close and how tight they are. It's just been a really tough time, man. Yep. And it's crazy to me because, Matt's about as healthy as they come.
Yeah.
Matt Smith but he and Brad both have just been working out a ton. They look phenomenal. They're looking great. And then this thing just kind of came out of nowhere. Yep. And it's just another reminder that, it doesn't treat everybody the same. And I know we've got some events going on. Be safe, guys. Mask up, be 6 feet apart, wash your hands, do all the things that you can do to kind of prevent this, because it don't mess around.
It doesn't. It's hearing more and more stories like that, just, affecting younger, healthier people,
Yeah.
And talking with Matt some, he's like, man, on oxygen, like he's, thankfully it sounds like he's kind of doing better today and kind of coming out of this but man, he was really struggling there. So just want everybody to be safe,
Yep. Absolutely.
We're going to try to do our best around all the events. You guys, do your best, like Brandon said, to mask up, keep your distance, and we'll keep you updated on what we have to do with the events if we have to make any adjustments, because it is a little bit wild right now. So
yeah, we've had a couple of questions in the chat already today on what are our plans for fall tour. Have we finalized the schedule yet? Do we know when it's going to be? We're working on that. We're also looking at it very, very closely to make sure that we can do it in a safe way that's not going to put people at risk. So our recommendation is, guys, just do everything you can to not get this thing. Do everything you can. Do everything you can to prevent the spread of it. Just, put your politics in your back pocket and go do everything you can that's within your power, because that we can control. Can't control a lot of things, especially after you get it, but we can control a lot. So anyway, I think we might have a video before we get back to Scott Summers and the gang. Look at this crew, man. We got Leslie. I like Leslie's picture too. Have you been noticing?
I do too. I need to.
It's like picture. What that picture reminds me of? You're gonna laugh at this. It reminds me of the look that you would always get from John Woodbury when you were on stage, like you just said something that he'd heard for the first time. Like, oh, I like that.
Yeah, he did.
He was the best audience member ever when you were speaking, because he would always like give you that. You
needed help up there on stage. If you need a little energy on stage, you just look at Woodbury.
Like Rick Weaver that time. He's like, his microphone or something was messed up. He's like, I'm dying up here. I'm dying. Like, look at Woodbury.
He'll save you.
He'll save you, man. All right, I think we've got a video to play before we kick things off. Let's play it.
2020, we're tackling the next Gregorian cycle with our sights on bigger and better things. Cut. I'm sorry. I didn't even see that in the script.
We're getting the band back together. We're getting the band back together.
We're getting the band back together. We're getting the band back together. Yeah!
My name's Ryan. So those are our 8 core values. Hey, Griff, play my ringtone real quick.
Kind of like a mullet. Business on the top, comfy pants on the bottom.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Way to be picky, guys.
Wow. Together with Brian, we have 70 years of experience 70 in the insurance industry. Most of that is from Brian because he's old.
Come on. Do you believe I told you so? Now it's all out and you know.
We certainly hope they resonate with you, as these values are what help to protect and shape our culture.
Oh, don't leave him hanging.
Oh, sorry.
No need for me to wait because I wanna.
How's that?
What the French toast? Shiitake mushrooms, Marlin Faulkner, cheese and crackers. Son of a prince.
John. Matt.
Yeah.
Hey, can't go right that easy.
Brandon, what are we playing, brother?
That's not the question.
In the year. Give it up for Mike, everybody. Oh, yeah, we're not doing that part.
Oh man, I need to wake up every morning. To
I heard
that
you.
kind of video.
I heard you belly laughing over in the next room a few times.
I heard you laughing too.
That was a good one. My
We
favorite.
share a wall
Marlin
over there.
Faulkner. Anytime you want to curse and kids are around,
It's Marlon.
or you're in church or something where you're not supposed to curse, or you're just not really supposed to curse anywhere, I think. Just say Marlon Faulkner. And you're safe. You might get some weird looks.
Oh man,
Oh,
that's good.
man. I think I
We
still have a
need to
scar
kick
on
every
my...
day off like that, don't we, Brandon?
Yeah, we do.
That's funny.
Yes, we do. Scott Summers,
Yeah,
we got a big
man.
one today. I need you to give me your best 30-second promo on why everyone should get their notepads and their pencils ready.
All right. So if you're sitting on this call and you are either being mentored or you're mentoring someone, and maybe the person that you're mentoring is doing a lot of the right things, but maybe not all of the right things, or maybe you have some folks that are just not following the system altogether, you can relate to this. Get them on this call. This is got what the name of this, the title of this is Mentoring versus Managing. It's going to be the tale of 3 agents. And we're going to track their progress as they're getting started with Symmetry. And I think it's unique because we're going to ride this thing all the way to February. And and it's going to be great because it's going to bring up some good mentoring moments where I can help people. And I can also show some failures of myself being a mentor. So we're going to try to hit all the aspects of coming into this business and getting this thing going.
I love it.
Right on
All
30
right.
seconds.
He nailed that. So, but I have one follow-up question. Why should anybody be paying attention to what Scott Summers says? Give me some stats. How much production you doing right now? And what has been your highest month of personal production ever?
Highest month, I think it was the November to remember. I did about 65,000. I think over that whole stretch, it ended up, I can't remember how much it was over the entire stretch, but 65,000 for the month. During that year, just under 500,000 for the year in personal production. I wrote 506 applications on my own pen. And our team, my awesome team that I've been blessed with, is going to hit what we should crest 4 million or be tiptoeing right towards it at the end of this year.
Hello.
Love it, man. All right, stay tuned. First, we have leaderboard.